All right, I'm continuing because last time, who knew, but my cell phone ran out of space. Good news, I gave the lecture all the way through, no one was there. So we've got, I think, like 10, 15 slides left. All right, so we were talking about over here, as you can see, the United States, India, and China reluctant to commit to carbon cuts. Ridiculous. Okay, at the conference in Paris, nations made strong commitments. In theory, in 2015, look on coal-fired power plants, but we know our new federal government was bringing coal back. So I'm not quite sure what happened to that, but I'm betting we didn't cut back. So China pledged to cut back on coal power, establish a cap and trade program. Brazil promised to halt deforestation. Brazil as a government, however, I'm not sure Brazil has a lot of control of their non-government entities, let's just say. That's where the deforestation is occurring. It's not that the government's going down and chopping stuff down, right? So here are possibilities, okay? So as you can see, business as usual. If we go to the Paris commitment, this would be the goal. So looking at this, you can see the pledges made at Paris, if upheld, would bring the world only part way. It wouldn't solve all of that. That doesn't mean don't do anything, right? It means we have to do at least something. At least something. Look, here's a good option. Once again, as I've said, solar, that sun, comes out every single day. Since the U.S. has high resources use and per capita emissions, yes, go look at your carbon footprint, your ecological footprint, feel bad about yourself. I know, we've done this. We're just going to, move on and just every day feel badly. All right, policymakers often assume that restrictions on emissions will harm the economy, unless it gives us new jobs. Ta-da! It's been an economic boom for countries like China and Germany. All right, if we're making new jobs because we've developed a new industry, then people in the old industry, they might need to be retrained, or maybe they're just so old we throw them on Social Security. We don't know. We don't know how old these people are. But we have a whole new industry in renewable energy sources. So mayors from more than 1,000 cities have signed the U.S. Mayor's Climate Protection Agreement, committing to policies that meet or beat Kyoto. Okay, we also did the same thing with the Montreal Protocol, okay, or the Paris Climate Accord, that we know that our country was like, no, we're not going to do it, but a lot of states did, and most important really is our biggest economy, which is California, right? We know that's the biggest one, which has a goal of cut greenhouse gas emissions by 25% by 2020. Ooh, it's 2020. Someone go look that up and post it. Okay, we probably have to wait until the end of 2020, okay? So here are other states that have regional greenhouse gas initiatives. Do you need to have those memorized? No, I would stick with knowing California does, and that way you could talk about California. If you want to, by all means, no one's ever going to hold you back on learning more stuff. But are you going to have to say, am I going to have to spew all of those? No, you are not. So, carbon pricing. This is a little weird. Strategies are designed to compensate the public for the external costs we all suffer from climate changes resulting from greenhouse gas emissions. Well, we're suffering from them, but isn't it kind of our fault? Once again, my opinion, not everyone's, but everyone who doesn't have my opinion is wrong. Carbon pricing removes the burden of paying for these impacts from the public and shifts it to the entities responsible for the emissions. In theory, look in theory, not in practicality, as we know how things work. If producers are charged a price for emissions, they will have a strong economic incentive to devise ways to reduce emissions. Do we think that's what's going to happen? Are the companies going to take the hit for the loss? I'm going to go with no. Okay, here's an example. Government establishes cap. Okay. Plant A cuts, Plant B fails to cut. So what they do is Plant B buys the rest of this amount from Plant A who didn't use all of it. That's how cap and trade works. So this is carbon trading system in which permits are traded for the emission of carbon dioxide. Shouldn't we just put a cap and go, if you go over this, you pay, you can't buy? And good for you. I mean, give them a gold star. They participated. Shouldn't everyone get one of those? So the government sets a cap on the amount of pollution it will allow, then gives, sells, or auctions permits to emitters that allow them to emit a certain fraction of the total amount. An alternative to carbon trading is the carbon tax. Okay, so make sure you know the differences, the difference, sorry, that was plural, on the emissions of carbon dioxide or the carbon content of fossil fuels. It can be charged to producers, utilities, or motor vehicle users. Well, what's going to happen? We know, obviously, we're a motor vehicle user, but we're also a user of things like utilities. Thank you very much, as I'm standing in air conditioning. A downside is that these fees often get directly passed along to the customer. So you see where this goes. An alternative is the fee and dividend approach, where the government transfers the carbon tax, fee, a tax refund, or a dividend given to taxpayers. I'm sorry, that noise is my cat has found a box. You know, it's just like getting interrupted by Mr. Jones making an announcement at the wrong time. You just have to roll with it. So, fee and dividend approach is a type of revenue-neutral carbon tax because there is no net transfer of revenue from taxpayers to the government. Because, you know, everyone hates taxes. And then we have carbon offsets, are voluntary payments. Okay, did I say that out loud? You can't see me roll my eyes, it's too hard. Paid by a producer that's unable to reduce its emissions and given to another institution. A coal plant could buy offsets that would fund a reforestation process. Okay, so I'm going to emit all of this carbon, but I'm going to plant trees. Okay, 50 years from now, those trees will start absorbing some carbon dioxide to the extent that I'm polluting. Carbon offsets are one way for producers to achieve carbon neutrality. And we probably need a different definition of what carbon neutrality is. A condition where no net carbon is emitted. Okay? And here is a great job. Stupid, but whatever. Geoengineering is a risky idea that involves taking steps to directly alter the Earth's climate. Look, fertilize phytoplankton to draw carbon dioxide out of the air through photosynthesis. Didn't we just learn out of like all of the chapters that we had that over-fertilizing phytoplankton from, say, I don't know, farming is causing issues in our waterways, eutrophication, dead zones, things like that? How do they distinguish? Do they tell some of the phytoplankton to do this and the other ones, no, don't take this fertilizer from farms? I'm not sure how they do this. Design artificial trees. I'm still a fan of, you know, those plain regular trees, not the artificial kind. Okay, or block sunlight before it reaches the earth so that way it can't. Who thinks up this crap? I don't know, but all of you fiction writers, look, you may have jobs in geoengineering. So everyone has a carbon footprint, and obviously in developed countries, more of a carbon footprint if we're using air conditioned, I don't know, 360 out of 365 days than someone who is not. Individual decisions that reduce carbon footprints will play a major role. Choosing energy efficient appliances, that's pretty much all they sell. Eating less meat. Okay, we know about that already. Living near your work to reduce commuting times. Or maybe a couple of days a week you don't commute. Okay, not necessarily the next 3 weeks, I'm not for that. That's what we're all going to be doing. I wonder what we're going to see with this over the next couple of weeks with everyone not leaving their house. So here are our review questions. Enjoy. You can do that. More review questions. Ta-da. The end of the chapter. Sorry about this little bit, but like I said, my camera was, I am full and it didn't let me know.